Luca Nation, I'm going to let you know today's going to be an awesome episode. I have a few plays that I think you guys are going to love. The logic, the reasoning behind it. They're probably going to spur a ton of conversations about UFC, baseball, basketball. I'm curious to hear Cage's take on the Fanatics news. But first, and I want to make this clear because as we're going through this journey, you guys are going to get to know us. And we got a DM, said, you guys looked upset on the episode a few days ago. And it was said with shock, but I actually think that this needs to be known. I get upset. I get pissed off. I get angry, and sometimes I'm not happy. To me, that's called being a human being. So we take this on. I take you guys on a journey with us. So there are days when we're upset. There are days when I'm not happy how things are going. To add to that, if we look at the narrative over the last month or so, well, what has it been? It has been influencers influence. That sounds good and all, but at the end of the day,
actually, it sounds like a shot.
That sounds good and all.
Somebody taking a shot at you. How do you not get pissed off? But hey, it is what it is.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is, yeah, we get paid to influence, we get paid to be sponsors, or we get paid in sponsorships, but it's not that simple. There's some sponsors that don't pay. There's some sponsors that we're waiting on. We still show up. We still give you guys our best. We've promised from day one that we're going to have free content. And that doesn't matter if, it takes us 4 weeks to put together a sponsorship agreement to get something off the road, on the road. So that's one. Second thing is,
can we also, before you do that, we're not paid to influence. We're paid to do our show, right? We don't care whether you listen to it or not. And honestly, if Andrew gives a play and a pick right now, my hope is that you don't buy that card. My hope is that you listen to the reasoning behind it and go and make your own decision and educate yourself on how he did it, what the method is. Same thing with me. Like, our goal is not to influence. It's to come up with cool content. It's to come up and make you laugh a couple times. So Andrew sometimes gets burned by people in the DMs. Like, he'll use a bad word, or he'll say a word that he doesn't intend, or it's just people talking. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't get. I don't want now the headline of the episode to be, well, we get paid to influence, because that's not the case. We get paid to do our thing. And our thing is to come on here, talk, chat with you guys, give you something to laugh about while you're working out, or when you're doing your morning jog, or when you're on the toilet. Wherever it is you choose to listen to us. And if you want to take the advice, great. If you don't want to take the advice, also great. If you want to see what's behind the advice and then use it to figure out your own path, even better. Whether that's with cards, whether it's with any other investment, whether it's with Andrew's awesome self-help stuff, whatever it is, guys. I mean, self-help. I mean, I mumble a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't need to cut you off with two. I don't want people to be like, oh, Andrew said he gets paid to influence, because it's another part of what is interesting about the world today. It's headlines, and we've talked about that, right? If you just read the headlines, you're going to be misled. Hey, PSA 9 Gretzky sells for this price. Well, the reason it sold for so little was because it was a shitty 9. Or PSA 9 Gretzky sells for this price. The reason it sold for so much is because it was one of the best ones out there. If you just read the headline, you miss it. And we got a lot of that shit, man. We got a lot of that. We got a lot of the hobby. We got a lot of that all over the place. So go ahead, man, please.
Okay. So I would title this episode, I do get upset, and I am upset. So I don't like that when people attack who I am and why I'm doing this. Second thing is the NFT project. We've been hearing it left and right from people. But you guys know we didn't push anybody into buying an NFT. We said, if you want this to be your first NFT, we'll happily be a part of that with you guys, right? We actually said nothing changes. Nothing will change. You're going to get free content. We're going to come on here every single day. We're going to do 7 shows a week. Now it's 8. So if you don't want to buy an NFT, we will not treat you any differently. If you do, great. And we're very excited to build that. Why do I say all that? I do believe that I play a positive part in the community. I do the best I can. And we're building a business here. And the point is, people see things on the surface, but they don't see what goes on underneath and what it takes to actually build a business, to hire a team of content creators. Sometimes they leave. Sometimes they're not happy. Sometimes they want to get more money. We deal with that. But at the end of the day, you guys don't. It doesn't matter to you. You guys just want to see good content. You guys want to engage. You want to have communication with us. I say all that not for sympathy. I just want to be transparent, because if I came on here, and I think we live in a culture of like goo goo gaga, everything's always great. That's not the reality. It just isn't. And I don't want to be the content creator that says Everything is always great. I'm always happy. I'm on top of the world because I'm figuring it out too. I'm a young 31-year-old entrepreneur. I've made a commitment to add value to help people get financial freedom from alternative investments. And we show up every single day. So, yeah, I do get upset at times. I do. So, thank you for noticing.
Dude,
now let's get into the plays.
I love it. I love the topic, right? Because you're right. You say it to me all the time. Like you're allowed to be. And there's some days I wake up and I'm thrilled. I'm happy to be alive. I get in the Discord and I tell everybody what a great day it's going to be. And then by 3:00, I'm like, all right, no win left in the sales. We still got to do an episode. I'll drink some Coke Zero and get the energy flowing. But there are days where it's harder to do an 8 episode per week show than others, but we want to bring it for you guys. So yeah, I mean, we appreciate the comments, we appreciate the love. Bear with us if there are days where it's lower energy, or if there are days where words sneak out and aren't meant to mean anything more than what they are. So we're human.
1,000,000,000%. And I'll let you guys know, if you guys bet against this, we've had people in January and February who were on our content team. They left. We found new content people. They bought into our vision. And since that point, we've doubled our business. So we keep moving. This train doesn't stop for anybody, and that includes me. I know that for a fact, and I tell that to Cage. I say the business is its own organism. If I'm not bringing it 100%, I'm equally as responsible. So I try to lead from the front. Cage does as well. So that is what it is what it is. And a shout out to other content creators. Guys,
exactly.
If you want to hear a little bit more about what we do and why we're doing stuff, have us on our show. Pick up the phone and call us. Hit that little camera button on Instagram. You guys know that whenever you need us, you shoot us a DM anyway. We're always responding. So don't go back behind our backs and talk. We're not bad people. You might not agree with what we're doing, but there's nothing in the last year plus that has proved that we're not reliable, not trustworthy, or we're not trying to do good. We just do things a little bit our way. And if you want to have that conversation, let's do it. Now, let's get into the show. I will tell you, Dustin Poirier might be the most underrated title holder on the verge of a world champion that we've seen. Do you agree with that as a UFC fan?
Sure. I mean, I like him. He's a very likable guy.
He's fighting at Vegas December 11th. This isn't confirmed, but this is on the finish line. He's fighting for the world championship.
Well, I mean, he's been
against Charles Oliveira.
And he's the belt holder right now. Du Bronx.
Cool. Why do you think so?
It's going to be a good fight.
It's going to be a good fight. And Poirier, he had an interview yesterday with Patrick Bet-David that came out, and I think it's a really good one. He's a little bit quieter. He's a little bit more soft-spoken. He's not the brash, say whatever comes to your mind, Conor McGregor. And some people think he's not marketable because of that. I actually think that UFC is going to find a way to market him. And he said one thing on that episode. He said he's 32. He thinks he's near his prime, but his one goal was, I want to be a world champion. A world champion, okay?
Not a belt holder, a world champion.
What's the difference?
Well, UFC has a lot of weird belts when there are champions out there who vacate. Sometimes they'll actually hand someone a belt. So Conor McGregor wins a belt and then says, I'm not going to fight for a year and a half, or goes to jail or whatever it is, or someone's injured. They'll have the belt to be vacated, and they'll have like an interim championship, right? Someone will be a placeholder, right? And they'll fight for the interim championship. And then there's like belt unification. It's like, that the title holder comes back, and then you have, all right, this is the real belt. The winner of this is going to be the real champ of this, right? So, Poirier has been one of those unlucky ones where he's beaten champs, just not while they are the belt holder, right? So he just beat Conor, but Conor didn't have a belt at the time, right? Not many people have beaten Conor. Usually Conor was fighting with the belt. He wasn't fighting with a belt this time. So, he beat Conor, he beat the best, but not while the best had the belt, so that's kind of the story there. And Poirier won the belt. He won it. He's had a belt, but it was, I don't remember if it was an interim, I think it was an interim belt that he had.
So I don't know the full UFC jargon, but I watched the interview, and the interview made me a believer in him as a person. I knew he was a great fighter. I knew he was a great fighter, but this interview kind of put me over the edge. And I go and I look at some of his cards, Cage.
Yeah.
And I love this card. It's a 2021 Panini Prism UFC debut.
Yep.
It's actually his best fight from what a lot of people say. It's the Max Holloway fight.
Max Holloway,
He's awesome. It's a great fight. It was a great fight. Like they were just knocking each other out. It was literally 5. And it's Cage. You're not going to believe this. So you have two silvers. Guess how much they cost?
I don't know. A pair of raw silvers, $100.
$59.99 or best offer.
Wow.
You have a red refractor at a $275, $49 or best offer.
Poirier is awesome, man. He's been fighting for a long time. I'm going to talk about Poirier for 2 minutes. What I want you to do, don't share it immediately, but if you could do me a favor on your page, pull up my Twitter account, hit media, and scroll all the way down in the picture. So media come up pictures.
I think I could do that so fast.
Well, I'll talk.
I'm on Twitter.
But you're on Twitter, pull up Cage Lawyers. And guys, you can do this along, while you're listening or whatever it is. And it's fun to kind of go through it, right? There's some cool pictures in there.
Cage Lawyer, go to
Cage
media.
Lawyers, and go to media and scroll all the way down. I think it's 2011, maybe 2000, one of the first pictures. Once you're there and you're scrolling all the way down, it's going to be a while. It's going to take a little while, but you'll scroll down. So Poirier's first card, guys, was 2011 Topps Finest UFC.
Just picture this, guys. Yesterday and this week, I'm brokering partnership deals and making sure, our Whatnot stream goes well. And here I am scrolling for an hour on Twitter.
It won't be an hour. It'll be 2 minutes, but scroll down. I mean, I could find it, but I'm not sharing my screen. If you want me to share the screen, I can find it on mine. But I do this stuff on a phone. But 2011, I was a huge collector of Dustin Poirier. And, there's probably even a more recent one, like from last year with a picture. There's going to be just a screenshot of about 20 of his cards, his rookie autos.
2011?
And I tweeted at him and his wife with a picture of it. I was
shit,
like,
look at Skinny Cage. Look at Skinny Cage with hair. Wow, you used to have this. Well, no, but now it's like shorter on the sides, longer on top. It used to just be like
this, right? Yes. So, but anyway, I watched the Fightville. I watched all that fun stuff, and that's me.
This charming guy. Look at that.
That's Anderson Silva right there. That's Spider. That's Anderson Silva. We're definitely in this. So you can see the UFC stuff. So obviously that's Ronda Rousey. Look at those cases of Finest. Those are all cases of UFC cards. Cases. Look at those cases.
2013. This is when I graduated college, Cage.
Keep going. So these are like Kevin Randleman. There's an Anthony Pettis, Red Auto. I mean, this is all I did UFC. It's that same Finest UFC there. Brock Lesnar. I mean, scrolling. So that's Leaf Metal. Doesn't that look like Prism, by the way? So anyway, that's Roy McDonald. Keep going.
This is Leaf Metal.
That's Leaf Metal. Doesn't look like Prism. And they have blue parallels and red parallels and like all kinds of crazy stuff. Frankie Edgar. That's Knockout.
Oh no, sticker. They love sticker autos.
Yeah, that's an on card there. There's Misha Tate. She just came back. That's a fistograph. Pretty cool, right? They put their fist in ink and they put it on the card. A little fisting it. They had to fist it, Andrew. There, right there. Scroll up. Right there. Click that. Those are all Dustin Poirier rookie autos. There you go. I have a feeling
this looks exactly like a Prism card.
Look at the tweet. 2012. I have a feeling there's a belt in Justin's future.
Wow.
2012. There you go. That's the deal. So anyway, I appreciate you doing that and bearing with me on that one. But yeah, almost 20 years ago, I said this guy was going to be a champ. I said this guy was going to be this guy was going to win a belt, and he did. And I think he actually, finalizes it and wins the world championship. Oliveira's a good matchup for him. Poirier does a lot for charity. He's a Louisiana kid, I think. Real clean cut. He's one of those guys. It's funny because my play today is also a character guy, and we'll get to that in a second. So I'm glad we went character today, both of us. This guy, I remember when he lost his first fight. And those are the things you remember because I had 5,000 of his cards. And I was like, this guy's going to win. I'm just going to bet on him. And then, his cards took a little bit of a hit when you lose. But he went into it was like
he lost in 2014 to Conor, right?
He lost to Conor, but I think he might have lost a fight before that also. I mean, he was on that short list of heading towards title fights, and he won his first bunch of fights. And he lost a fight. And they interview you in the cage afterwards. I think it was Rogan came up to him. And he was crying. I mean, like he gave an interview and he's like, I let my family down. I let my wife down. We've put everything into this. I let my fans down, and it was real. It was raw. It was sort of like your intro today. He was a human. Sometimes you watch people from afar, doing what they're doing as professionals, and they're getting paid for it. And you think because they're getting paid, they're bulletproof, and they're not. And it's nice to see that human side, that breakdown. I remember I was in a room, people were like, oh, look at this guy. He's a fighter. He's a tough guy. He's crying. And I was like, dude, think of the emotion. This guy's never really tasted defeat here and, has for the first time. And
people confuse being tough with not crying, and not feeling emotion. I think you get tough because you do feel all those emotions, because with the losses, yeah, they're scars, but you remember them. And then they make the victories that much more exciting. I don't know if that's the right word, but
the dude never stopped.
Fulfilling.
He's worked on his game. He's got some real good ground game, which he's going to need against Dubronx. He's going to need that against Oliveira. Oliveira's slick on the ground.
Can I tell you my prediction?
Shoot.
Khabib comes out of retirement and fights Poirier.
I mean, maybe. I will say this: Khabib destroys anyone. Khabib's style, he may slow down, right? And somebody might catch him because he's a little slower, and that might be it. But I've said this a million times with the fight game, right? There's only one undefeated fighter. It's Father Time, right? He catches up to everybody, right?
That would be a great fight. That would be a monumental fight.
It would be good. I just think it would be ugly. Khabib fights ugly. He gets his hands on you. He wrestles you. I mean, he wrestles bears. You know what I mean? He wrestles you. He'll get you to the ground. He just keep throwing you down to the ground, not let you get a chance to really do much while you're there. He doesn't allow people to really get a hold of him.
So I'm not a big AOC guy. I'm more now than I was in the past. But Poirier said this. He's like, for me, I've always been lucky. And I had soccer friends like this. He said, I could, even out of shape, I could get up off the couch, show up to training, and outlast most guys. I've always had that endurance. And a difficult part of getting taken down, getting up, taken down, is the fitness, right? It's incredibly tired when you're on the ground. That might play out. I agree, Khabib is the favorite, but that's what I'm playing for. And you could get into a world champions card, somebody who I think has two great fights left. And I think one of them is going to be kind of like a monumental fight, national, everyone's going to know about it. And you're able to get his card so cheap, to me, it doesn't even make sense. And
I like it. I like the play.
BGS 9 gold. I mean, the McGregor one sold for $25K, I believe, $20K.
Yeah, McGregor transcends the sport, though. Poirier, why I like your play is because for $29 or $30, if he gets the fights you're talking about, he goes from being borderline household name to household name.
Correct.
And then $30 you can't get. You can't get the $30 for that. You're not able to buy that card for anywhere near that kind of stuff. By the way, you see this? You're like this. This is, you haven't seen this shirt. This is
my face.
My happy face. This is my happy. I put on my happy face today. That's my happy face. So I know you liked my shirt, so I wanted you to see what this is. This is my happy face. This is a little Donald Duck action. That's my happy face.
How are all your shirts so worn down?
I wear the shit out of them. Plus, I buy them like this.
Do you thrift?
I buy them like this. I buy.
You go to thrift store?
I like a little worn vintagey, like a little faded type of shirt. It's got some age on it, like me. Stuff that people throw away. Can I give you my character
topics? Yeah, tell me.
So let me give my play, and then we'll do topics, right? So my play is a straightforward one, guys, and I've given them before. It's an homage to the influencer. It's an homage to Gary Vee and his auctions today, selling for $1 million, $400,000 for that stuff. The man is amazing. I mean, really just amazing. I don't say anything bad because I don't want to hurt his feelings, and I really don't have anything bad to say. It's amazing stuff, man. It really is. What he did is amazing. Talk about just everyone on the edge of their seat. If you're in the Discord of V-Friends today.
Here's what I'll compare it to. Yeah. Rick Barry used to shoot 90% from the free throw line.
Yep.
He would shoot it underhand.
Yep, granny style.
I can't say I understand it, but I respect it because he hits 90%. So I can't say I understand, recognized game, hopefully maybe that. I can't say that I understand how empathetic elephant on a white piece of paper with Sharpie that's going to fade over the next few years sells for $300K. But I can respect.
It's in a PSA case. It probably would have only been $200, but it was encapsulated. So that PSA, it adds money to it. But I know what you're saying.
Did he pay the $10K walkthrough rate?
I don't know.
Did they upcharge him? Upcharge him?
But I mean,
this is the key.
They were authenticated. They weren't graded. So that's the key. They didn't. I don't know if there's an upcharge. Authentication is just one charge. They didn't give them this could be a 9. We're gonna upcharge you though because it's a 10 right now. They didn't do that. That was not part of the equation. No, but so Gary influence is gonna influence. This is a card that Gary held up, and at one point in time, it was like $600-700 for the base card.
I know it.
And I'm going Mookie Betts.
Yep.
Because the Dodgers are still who I think comes out of the National League. I hated Mookie Betts for the longest time. I hated his scowl. I hated his face. He always walks around with this kind of thing, scowl on, looks like he's taking a dump in his pants out there, kind of thing he's doing. But he has fun playing. He has ridiculously great numbers. If he stays healthy and Trout keeps getting hurt, he's the only player who has a shot to be like the player of this generation who could be talked about in the same breath as Trout. I'm talking about the same card I talked about for a while, but I'll give you a second play also if you don't like this.
Look at Mookie's scowl.
That's not his scowl. No,
he's so intimidating.
Can you type Mookie's scowl? It's there. I'm sure you don't even have to type scowl.
Look at this.
Every picture, it's got him like doing these. He's always the same. Look at Popeye. Now there he's doing a little spanking.
Mookie Betts busca hacer historia como MVP.
Busca hacer historia MVP. So yeah,
that's a little
spank. No, that's a little spank. Dude, I can't see this. They're miniature pictures on my miniature phone. You think I could see? You're lucky that I could see that this is a baseball player.
This one's funny.
So
just wanted to make sure people saw Mookie's scowl.
US 26, that's the Topps update. PSA 10 sells for in the 200s, less than 300 range. I saw a couple of the Topps Chrome, which has significantly less pop, selling for 8 and change recently this past week. They're up a little bit, but I think he could be the MVP of the World Series and win another ring and do all that other crazy stuff again. He's hitting home runs, but I wouldn't have given this play for all that. I wouldn't have given this play just because I think that they're going to be in the World Series, nationally televised games, and he's got a chance to win a third ring. The reason I give the play is he was playing in Cincinnati a week ago, right? He was playing in Cincinnati. What do they call it? Great American Park, I think is the name of it. Guys, if I got that wrong, please don't skewer me too much. I'm trying my best. I'm not.
I think that's right.
And I think the rookie's name was like Friedel. Like Friedl, maybe it's Freed. There's an L in there. I don't know if it's silent.
Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay, exactly, right? I'm sure I said the name wrong. But the kid came up and hit his first ever Major League home run. Right? I'm sure you can find an article on this if you just type in, Betts gets first home run ball back, right? So, of course, Mookie's out in the outfield, and he turns to the fan who catches the ball and says something to him. And wouldn't you know it, Mookie has the respect of the fans, even a visiting fan, right, in a visiting stadium where the guy who caught the kid's first home run ball threw it back to Mookie Betts. He gave it to him, and Mookie throws it in the Reds dugout and gets this guy his first home run ball, which I'll never know, but I'm sure that's a pretty cool thing. You make it to the majors, you hit your first Major League home run, and now you have the ball. I'm pretty sure that's amazing. And even more so that a member of the opposing team, and not just any member, Mookie Betts, multiple-time, champion, MVP, you
Leader
name
of the team.
Just one of the best players of the generation goes out there and does it. But you know what Mookie did the next inning? He came back out on the field with a signed bat and handed it to the kid for giving him the ball. So you talk about like character plays and stuff like that. Like he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do any of it. He could have sat out there and been mad that the opposing player hit a home run and said, "Who cares?" But instead, it's somebody who's aware of the situation, somebody who's aware of what he brings to the table, aware of the fact that maybe he influences people. Who knows? But I like Mookie Betts, and that's tough for a Yankee fan to say because he beat us pretty badly, pretty often. He has fun out there, which is key, right? We hope when you guys listen to us, we have fun because, and the intro to this episode, notwithstanding, we have a ton of fun chatting. We have a ton of fun doing this episode and making you guys laugh. Mookie, the that rookie or any other rookie, I mean, me, I like the Prism one because it's so cheap. BSA 10, I give that away like crazy. But yeah, man, I like that he has fun. I like that he's young still. I like that he has a great future ahead of him, and that team's not going anywhere. And on the fun point, if I'm allowed, Andrew, we can talk about bets. Sure. Somebody caught my most recent Easter egg with the Thanksgiving is big with the Italians, and I said they like turkey cacciatore and sweet potato parmesan. It was from the movie My Blue Heaven, and I got a message from one of our listeners who was like, "Hey, did you quote My Blue Heaven on purpose?" And I think it was yesterday. I'm in my office, and I'm basically just doing movie quotes back and forth with a listener for the better part of the day, all from this movie. And I appreciate it. I try to put a little Easter egg in each one of them. And yes, it was that movie. And if you catch a movie and you message me and you know the movie pretty well, that's a movie I've seen at least 100 times. And obviously this listener has seen it at least 100 times as well. We could have done the whole movie. It would have been really funny. It would have been a fun piece of content. But so yeah, here I'm texting a listener. If you call me Dickie one more time, I'll kill you. So, I mean, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But
the listeners and I, on the episode where we were talking about self-health, it's not even self-help, it's self-health.
That's true.
Dale Carnegie, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer, so we could empathize. We don't send each other.
But I said self-help, but it just came out wrong. I mean, I know what the saying is, but I mean, I could be saying like blimp on the radar, which is clearly not a blimp on the radar.
Because blimps are huge.
Blimps are gigantic.
Dude, English was my second language. Believe it or not, English was my second language.
And people have to remember that. I have to remember that too, because I give you a hard time myself. And people got to remember, I mean, and not only that, you probably learn more of your English on the playground and on the field and in people calling you names and in a locker room than in the school. So, the vernacular that sometimes gets thrown around, people got to remember that as well. We never mean anything bad by any of it.
I was bullied because I didn't know how to speak English, so I used to bite kids. I'm embarrassed to say. It's all right. I was unconscious. I was a kid. I had no self-awareness at all. I would just get mad and I would bite them. Anyway, another topic this week. This was a quote from the Fanatics. Michael Rubin was on CNBC Squawk. And, I mean, you don't even know what I'm going to say.
No, but I heard what he said. Oh, I'm reacting to what he said. No, but what are you going to say? Please, I'd love to hear it.
First, give your first interpretation or your reaction when you heard what he said.
It's a non-starter. I mean, he's not going to come out there and say, oh, by the way, we spent all this money and we're going to just the status quo. Like, we have no designs of doing anything crazy. Anybody who is going to do anything is going to come out with grandiose plans, grandiose ideas, and tell you that they're going to change the world, right? I mean,
when I do that, you yell at me.
I do, because somebody has to ground you, and our deliverables have to be reasonable. That's true. But, Steve Jobs didn't come out there and say, hey, I got this thing, and you're going to be able to, like, play some music on it. Whoopity friggin' do. And then leave with this turtleneck. No, it becomes this big, the iPhone 112 is coming out, and this one's going to have 11 cameras on it. I mean,
so a good salesperson. A good salesperson. What do they need? They need a need. They need a problem, something that's not right. And so he said the current collector experience is pretty terrible. Let's pause there. Do you agree with that? Is the current collector experience terrible?
No, I do not. I think there are aspects of it that are terrible, but I think there are aspects of it that are great. And I think that what they may find is that in trying to fix some of the aspects that are terrible, they'll make some of the great aspects terrible. It's never easy. It's never just a matter of just, let me change this piece of code, because when you change this piece of code, all of a sudden it feeds into this one, and this one, and now you got 4 mistakes just because you fixed that one. So
my next point here, and it's one of those things where, yes, the current experience could be deemed terrible, but my next literally immediate question is, well, why would Fanatics be the ones that make it better?
They'll make it different, and in their eyes, better. They'll always claim victory and always claim better. Well,
this way?
So we had Summertime Cards on, right? And he had an amazing story post about Fanatics. It was two screens, right? A little money, $2 bill, man. That's perfect for you. That's perfect.
I'm real good luck on it.
Yeah, you are a $2 bill, 100%. So here we go.
$2 bills are sick.
Yes,
Dave Meltzer gives these away so people remember him.
Yes. Listen, if I could have come up with a denomination, like a piece of currency for you, it would have been the $2 bill, or maybe the golden Sacagawea coin. The golden Sacagawea coin. Yeah.
$2 bills also. There's a lot of me, but there's enough to go around, but I'm also scarce.
They're collector's items as well. Yeah. Now $2 bills. So to the point, right? Summertime Cards had 2 slides on his story. Sometime shout out, thank you. I'm stealing this as part of our content. So I am on Instagram. If you put something up cool and I'm following you, I might use it in the show. So number 1 was, if we went back to 2012 or 2011, I think he said 2012, but that was when Prism came.
Yep.
But it's more like 09, 10. Topps was still doing stuff. But if we went back to that time, the sky was falling because Panini was taking over too. Nobody was happy. Everybody was running around with their hair on fire, and everybody saying, "Oh my God, everything's going to change." And yet, you know what? Cards exist before, cards exist after, and somehow we've found a way to, continue to collect and continue to be okay in this hobby, even though a new company came in and changed things, right? Some for the better, some for the worse. Some people long for the stuff that, was no longer there, and some people love the new stuff that came out. But the second one was the best part. I think this is sort of, it's very specific, but it's sort of what, the Fanatics folks were alluding to, and it's sort of why a lot of people kind of have their hair on fire in this. And it basically was like, I'll paraphrase, but it basically was something like, I love the breakers and the distributors, the LCSs. I love those guys, right? And I wish that, no matter what happens, they all still make money. They all still make a killing in the hobby. I wish them all well. But at the same token, I sure would love to open some boxes at retail prices soon too. So it's how do you reconcile those two things? And right now, people just assume, and there's a lot of assuming going on, that Fanatics is going to be doing a lot of direct-to-consumer stuff, which that may fix the second part. Like, we may be able to open some boxes and open them cheap, and open them, at a normal price instead of a double markup from a distributor and a retailer. But if they do that, what happens to all the people in the hobby? What happens to the breakers who were able to get that stuff cheap? What happens to the distributors? What happens to the LCSs if it becomes directed to distributor? What happens to that stuff? And I think there's got to be a happy medium. And what's funny about it is I think that the market usually takes care of that anyway, right? So right now, everybody thinks the Fanatics thing could be good because things are expensive. And they're only expensive, though, because they've run up in the last couple of years. With PSA closed and the whole like flip game not being there, prices are starting to come down anyway, right? Also, the draft classes are not what they were. Prices are starting to come down anyway. I'll tell you, this week, my LCS, who doesn't mark stuff up. I mean, I would tell you the prices on these things. Some people will be mad that I didn't take it, but Obsidian football, Chronicles draft picks basketball, and another product came out. He's like, "I'll save you some," and I'm like, $350 for what?
I don't know what to do with it, right?
I said, I don't want that. Like, I opened Obsidian last year, when PSA was closed also, and I got a Keyshawn Vaughn auto and like a Ronnie Brown auto who played on the Dolphins 20 years ago. And they were cool cards, right? That Henry Ruggs auto that I sold on Whatnot this week. I got an RPA of Henry Ruggs at a 150. Cool card. Sold for $16. Why do I need a $350 box of Obsidian? So what winds up happening is going to be, I pass on that. Other people pass on that. And the prices that went up, they're going to start to crest and come down anyway, right? So the markup's not going to be there, and there will be that happy medium where you can get these boxes, maybe not at exactly retail price, but there'll be profit in there for the LCSs, there'll be profit in there for the distributors, and the price of the box will come down to where it should be. The market dictates all those prices anyway. So that's my take on it. I think, that the Fanatics thing makes a lot of sense now, because everybody wants that direct to consumer, because the consumer can't get anything. Because everybody wants, it doesn't matter what it is, I'll buy it. Let's go, I'll buy it. It doesn't matter. Whatever you get in, I'll take it, right? That's not going to be the case pretty soon. Because like you said, what do you do with it? Like, I could open it with Ian, but he's like, we paid how much for this? This is crap. And we opened that box of Optic basketball. I think it was like $800 or I don't know, $400. I don't know, whatever it was, $400, $800. It was not worth it. And I'm like, this is garbage. Like, why did we open this? So that can only happen to you so many times.
One more thing. So, influencer, pretty big audience. We're in all these Instagram groups and stuff. He says, Fanatics comes to you for advice. We need to stop giving them free advice. If they pay you for advice, ask for double the amount, and then maybe go and give it to them. But we need to stop giving them advice like they care about the hobby. I agree, but that doesn't work if we're not connected as content creators. If we're all fighting amongst each other, if we don't like each other, if we think that we're stealing each other's real estate, someone else is going to take it. So I got to take the money, right? I got to go help them. I got to go build my brand, because if I don't, they're going to go to this next guy, and they're going to go to this next guy, and this next guy, and this next guy, and get the advice. So I got to look out for myself and my community. So I think, and this is a call to all these content creators to realize, if we have a voice in the hobby, if we have a voice in the hobby, it's only as powerful as how connected we are. If we're always infighting against each other, if we're always questioning each other, if we're always coming after each other, I don't think that's that sound of a plan.
Well, listen, a couple things. One, if anybody wants to give me free advice, go for it. I'll take all the free advice you got. Second, I'm going to fight with everybody because I don't care. Because people come at me and I'm going to come right after them. So you're a content creator. You want to get in a slugfest with me? Let's go. I am not a small individual.
It's not a slugfest, though. Slugfest is face to face.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for that. I can't wait.
In the shadows.
Next to the National, we got to set up a cage. I mean, come on, man. How about the Mint Collective? We're going to be at the UFC Apex. I'm going to roll with some folks. That could be some fun content. That would be some fun content. No, but I jest, of course. But you're right. There is a limited amount of real estate. I don't really agree with whoever said, let's stop giving Fanatics free advice. Why? If we're really not full of shit, and we really believe it when we say that we're in this to increase the pie for everyone and make the overall experience better. And we're all in this saying that we want the hobby experience for the collectors to be better and build this thing bigger so that there's more people in the hobby for us to have as listeners, for people to have as subscribers to their price card data, for folks to buy and break cards or whatever your content might be. Then doesn't it behoove you to help Fanatics to have a better experience, to get more people involved in the hobby, to grow the whole thing? So I disagree. And Fanatics, if you're listening to this and you want some free advice from me, I'll give it to you all day and twice on Sundays.
Here's some free advice. Mike Tyson's getting his documentary made. It's going to be on Netflix within the next 12 months. For our whales out there, big money spenders, you might have, 25 ETH that you made, 6x on or whatever. You bought an ETH 2 years ago, or you flip some cards. Check out some Mike Tyson memorabilia. I think it's a really interesting play, and his gloves that are signed, some of his stuff is very, very reasonably priced still. Like, I know his cards have taken off, but memorabilia and Mike Tyson memorabilia is still affordable, and I would take a look before this documentary comes out.
I like it, man. I mean, we've seen what documentaries can do on pricing. So
he's also iconic, right? Like, a documentary can be hit or miss.
Yeah, he stays in the public, right? And now he's doing like marijuana stuff, right? Which I'm not going to shit on because obviously that is a huge thing. No BS. One of the lawyers who works for me today quit to become the CEO of a medical marijuana company. This is somebody who went to law school, and I was sending work, and he was doing work for me. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing work anymore. I'm going to send these couple of cases I have with you to another law firm. I got this gig I'm going to be the CEO of a medical marijuana company. I'm like, what a world, man. And Tyson's right smack dab in the middle of that.
But you're allowed to shit on it because when you do it, I have an opportunity to rebut it, right? I'm right here. We have it in front of me. Like, I've never been the guy who likes to talk about people who aren't in the room, right? Like, that was never my style. I hated it. Like, if I'm talking about someone and they're not in the room and they can't defend themselves or say their side, like, I'm a lower than low person. That's not my style. So have me on. Let's have it out. Let's have a discussion. Let's go get coffee, beers. Let's go to the boxing ring and let's go play soccer, basketball. Let's have it out in front of each other. So that's
your one on that. My Easter egg. I'm gonna call out the Easter egg. Ford. My mother once told me that if you can't say anything nice about someone, at least make sure they're not in the damn room. Very obscure movie. You're not going to get it. The character saying it, his name is Julian Grundle, played by Wayne Newton. So definitely not something you're going to get. But it's a good movie, though.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, message me with that. Message me if you know what movie that's from, because it's an obscure one. Any final thoughts? Listen, we have to bookend this episode because we started off with kind of this weird thing. Andrew and I, we've had a day, guys. And, it's funny, right? Because we came into this episode 35 minutes or so ago. I felt weighed down. So I had to say thank you to you guys because I feel like I'm able to spend 35 minutes with each and every one of you and with Andrew and kind of forget about whatever else the day has heaped upon us from a business standpoint and just talk sports, talk cards, talk about the hobby, make some fun, I hope, content for you guys to listen to. So I get a lot of great messages, thanking me and thanking Andrew for the stuff we do, lives that have changed and you name it. I'll give it right back to you. Thank you guys because, doing this episode daily, people message us and they say, wow, what a grind, how are you able to do this every day? Really, the commitment. The fun thing is that it's slowly become the high point of my day. You know what I mean? And I'm only able to have that and do that because of you guys. So thank you. there's a little positivity to add on to the whole,
1,000%.
Well,
it's not a grind when we get to connect with our community. I mean, our community is amazing. None of what I said at the beginning is towards our community. It's towards the people that like to take shots at me personally. If I misspelled the word here, or mispronounced something here, or, I don't agree with what you're doing here, so it's a rug pull. Like that stuff that lingers in the shadows. When you guys know I'm super active on Instagram, tons of you guys have gotten DMs from me out there, hey, I love what you're doing. I try to be supportive of other people's projects as well. So that's where it becomes a grind. And working with sponsors and partnerships and that stuff, that it's what I love. I love kind of brokering deals, negotiating, but it does get challenging, and that's just being transparent.
Guys, the only other thing I have to say is Sunday, whatnot. I do
love that show.
8-1 in the 1:00 games, guys. I mean, 8-1. I was against the spread in those 1:00, and Andrew had a hell of a week also. I think I went like 12-4 or something when it was all said, and 12-5. Because one of those games we gave like a play and the over. It was a great week, and then we had the Michael Porter Jr. for collectible on the fractional report. I mean, it was just a great week of calls. I can't wait for this week. I already had a bad start to fantasy. I left Laviska Shenault on my bench. He had a nice game. He didn't score, but he had a nice game, a bunch of catches, some runs.
Isn't fantasy hilarious? Like, you and I both thought we had the worst teams in the league. And people in the draft were like, hey, I think it was Boston Authentic was like, hey, Andrew, during the draft, he's like, interesting draft strategy. Are you sure you know what you're doing?
I don't, but I'll tell you that.
I don't either, but I'm 2-1, and I played 3 of the best teams. Boston Authentic's in first, by the way.
I'm sure he's great. But, I mean, there are people who do fantasy all the time. Like, I didn't research for this. I haven't done fantasy in over a decade. And it's funny because this last week, like, my team really fizzled, and my wife is sitting on the couch watching me in the 4:00 game say, this is getting away from me, and I'm going to lose. And I was 2-0. I'm going to be 2-1. It's still one of the better teams in the league.
I'm 2-1 too.
My first loss of this, and I'm like, I hate fantasy. Why is my running back not in? The backup running back in both of these games has scored. Both my team's running backs, the backup. Why is this and why is this? And then she's like, do you remember now why you don't play fantasy? Because, I mean, my Raiders are 3-0. Football season has been great. Even last night's game. Let's talk about it for a second. Trevor Lawrence looked legit last night. I don't know. He's a little skinny, and I don't know if he's going to be able to take some of the hits that he took.
Sunshine.
But the dude plants on a dime, man. He's good.
He's pretty athletic, right?
Yeah, he can run. He had some good runs in tight quarters. He made some really good defensive backs look bad. Some of his throws don't look fantastic, but 4 games into it, pretty impressive. And Joe Burrow, just as impressive. Now 3-1 Bengals. Been a while since we've had a 3-1 Bengal team. And let him down the field at the end of the game-winning drive. The kind of stuff that winning quarterbacks do. So I like it. It is October, folks. It is a time where football is playing. Baseball is about to get into
birthday month for the big boy.
Big guy birthday. Oh, look at me.
He's a Libra. He's a Libra. Mr. Reliable.
Big king in the castle. I have a chair. Get me this. Get me that. I have a chair.
Libra's never too high, never too low.
A balanced man. Max. Cards to the max knows what I'm talking about. Balanced man right there. Libra balanced man. That's the deal. So he's going to say.
Let me tell you guys. So I know we'll have a fantasy league next year, probably 3 times the size. We sold out this year. We're doing 3 leagues.
Yep.
$100 buy-in. We're going to have so many giveaways that $100 buy-in looks like a blimp on the radar.
Blimp! The blimp on the radar. No,
because
we're card people. We're smart about it, right? So one of the things we bought, each league basically can have $1,000 grand prize in the form of wax. Like I spent $1,000 on a select football box from last year's class that has the XRC redemption cards of Trevor Lawrence potentially and last year's quarterback class with Herbert and the whole deal. Those are not $1,000 anymore, but we paid $1,000 for that. So you're going to get a prize that's actually worth more than what we collected. So
and then every 4 weeks, the highest point total earner will get a slab.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, I'll probably get hate on this because here's how I did it. I'll give you guys a blueprint. I said I will reach out to Alt, who is not a partner of ours, and I said, a lot of our people were going to be doing this giveaway. If they have accounts on Alt, it would be super easy to transfer it over. What did Alt say? So absolutely. If they need to transfer, if the winner has an Alt account, we could easily transfer it over. But we'll do one better. If they don't, we could send them the cards, the slabs, the giveaway in a beautiful box. beautiful packaging. It's these little things. I think people are going to appreciate it so much. So our partnerships, our sponsorships, they do allow us to have flexibility to do giveaways, to give back to our community. And we do try to give back as generously as we can. We really do. So I hope that message hit.
You know what arrived yesterday? Somebody from our Discord, we not NFT talk. So, but somebody in our Discord, they confirmed yesterday that they got a Mariano Rivera Bowman PSA 10 rookie card. I mean, it's like $1,000 giveaway right there. Hey, have fun. Boom. We got, so we really do care about the hobby, the community, the whole deal. And if you're listening to this and saying bullshit, you're listening to this and saying no way, these guys are full of it, they're just saying it, send us a DM and see. Because you're going to get a response. I mean, somebody messaged me recently and was like, hey, you live in New York, right? I think you know this guy. A trade I had with him went wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do here? Like, how am I supposed to fix that? But I found out who it was. I messaged the other side. Obviously, there's two sides to the story, but I'm like, hey, why don't you guys message each other and try to figure it out? Will it be resolved? I have no idea. There's only so much that I can do. But even something like that, like, I want everybody to have a good hobby experience, So, I don't know how that one gets resolved. It sounds like they're pretty far apart, but, still, I'll even answer that. I don't care. We're having some fun, man.
That's another show. We have a big weekend coming up. Luca Nation, thank you for joining us on the journey. Thank you for all the messages. A lot of you guys have become basically virtual and real life friends, and we look forward to building alongside of you and sharing our honest thoughts, opinions, feelings as we go. So that's it. That's a wrap.